Good evening. Another Monday evening with bees all day. So, DC, I like your comment. I appreciate that. Hey, Sandy, Jonathan, Bundy. Who else is in here? Roy, Mike, Keith. How are you this evening? I saw your post the other day. It was bees cleaning up your honey buckets. I hope they had a good time doing it. 21st bee may be in here later. He's not so sure. Depends on how things go. Darren, good to see you tonight. So how's everybody doing? Woodstock, New York. No, it's Woodstock, Virginia. Hey, Randy, how are you tonight? So everybody have a good weekend. We had a little bit of rain this weekend. We had some rain this morning. So other than that, it's been a pretty good weekend, and the week started off pretty good. So yeah, it's been a good one. So Mr. Shiflett, how are you this evening? Lazy weekend for you. You didn't work bees this weekend, Icy? I thought you worked bees on the weekend. We were in bees over the weekend. We took off supers that we had put on to get repaired and cleaned up and put some more on. And it was a good weekend. I talked to Charlie a little bit earlier. He was in a Zoom meeting. I logged into it at the beginning. It was about Apigard and Amatraz and a couple other little things. The guy from Vito Farmer was doing the presentation on there. So, crazy bee removes. Okay. So, DC, sounds like you got a full weekend doing that. You needed a minute of down. We all need downtime, Sandy. We really do. It's just we don't get it. Not this time of year anyway. We're all really busy. So I do have a topic for tonight, but I want to let a few more people get in here before we start talking about it. It's going to be about ProSweet versus sugar water. So did a little research and came up with a few things for everybody. And I did find out that Man Lake is not the only one that makes ProSweet. So, but the price of ProSweet went up this year. So, and I'm not too happy about it, but it is what it is, right? So, no, we're not going to talk about mites tonight. DC, we're going to talk about ProSweet versus sugar water and fall feeding. So, yep, that's what we're talking about tonight. Yeah, I think everybody's getting tired of talking about mites. I'm tired of talking about mites. I'm tired of talking about treatment. So we're going to talk about something different tonight. So has anybody started feeding yet? So that's the first question. How many out here have started feeding? So yep, we're going to cover that. Yep. No, we're not going to talk about mites tonight, Darren. We're going to talk about feeding. So, second place, Tiny Creek. You got a second place at Jerome Bee Farm Homestead's giveaway. And got a Hive Alive bundle pack. Hey, that's pretty good. That's a lot of money right there. I can tell you. That's some money. So you did well. You made out like a bandit. The Rocky Apiaries is feeding a few splits. Um, Sandy, you still got a lot blooming, you say? So what all's still blooming for you? And Jonathan, you're not feeding yet because you're coming into dearth, and you'll be getting a fall flow. What do you get for a fall flow, and where are you located? That's the next question. So we are getting ready to start feeding, and of course we feed Pro Sweet every year, and we feed it right through the fall flow. Um, Basically, you're in Maine, goldenrod, aster, stuff like that. Yeah, okay, Jonathan. Um, Sumac, linden, sweet clover, white clover. Yeah. So you can tell when the flow's about over if you see bees on clover. So that's an old adage that has basically held true through the years. Honey locust. What is a honey locust? Tell me. I don't know what you're referring to. Is it a tree or what is it? Or is it a bush? Um, it's an old adage. Bees on clover, the flow's over. Okay, it's a tree. Um, all the major flows, like DC just said, um, you've been waiting on the wrong chat. Why have you been waiting on the wrong chat? You went into the wrong place, didn't you? um, Lost my train of thought. Anyway, um, this time of year the flow is basically over, and like DC said, you get a bunch of weeds in the fall, um, and you don't really get a lot out of them. Um, Now we still have some dandelions coming in every now and then. If we get a rain, it cools off, it warms up, we get dandelions. That's a normal thing. But this time of year, everything major that we had that the bees collect, it's done. So and it's you still hey Tar Heel, Island, how are you? Um, some areas, if you planted buckwheat, you're still getting buckwheat. Um, we feed up until it's too cold for the bees to take liquid. I'm back now, Clay. No, I'm not muted right now, Roy. I should be back on. Yeah, now I got it. Yep. So we feed ProSweet, which between ProSweet and high fructose syrup and sugar syrup, there's a lot of difference. A whole lot of difference. If you look at sugar water, it's typically a mixture of granulated sugar, which is sucrose, and water. It's either mixed 1-to-1, which is a thin syrup, or 2-to-1, which is a heavy, thick syrup. So the benefits of it provides a carbohydrate source for the bees. It'll ferment, it'll crystallize. You can't mix it up way ahead of time and leave it sit because it'll ferment, and it's time sensitive. So it requires the proper timing, when to put it on, when to use it. So, and like I said, it is just one source of carbohydrates. All right. And when you get into feeding granulated sugar, that's hard for the bees to digest. Now, ProSweet, it contains both of the sugars, and it makes it as close to nectar as you can get it. It's sucrose and fructose and a little bit of dextrose, because when you invert sucrose, you get dextrose. You can't invert fructose because it won't invert. Okay? It stimulates the bees. It helps them gain weight. It resists crystallization and fermentation. So you've got that going for you. The brood in the spring, and if it stimulates to build brood in the spring, it'll definitely stimulate them to build brood in the fall for the winter bees. So it's ready to use. You don't have the mess of making it, and you're saving yourself a little bit of time when you do it. The drawback to ProSweet is the cost. I can tell you that right now. It went up this year. I found 3 different manufacturers for ProSweet. You have Manlake. You have another manufacturer called Equalix, Sweet Pro. And then you have a company out of Canada called Run that make it. So there's other sources for it other than Manlake. So everybody needs to think about cost, availability, and where they're going to get it. Now, I see a lot of you talking about Apis. You can put Apis in it, but when you put Apis in it, if you look in the top right-hand corner of the screen there, you'll see strong microbials. That's where it's available. Man Lake sells a knockoff version of Apis, as well as some other people that not sell the knockoff version.
So was ProSweet? I thought was ProSweet invented by Man Lake or just?
It was invented originally as an agricultural product to feed cattle. Man Lake picked it up, refined it a little bit, and then those two other manufacturers picked it up and refined it a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. Now, ProSweet is a mixture, like I was saying, of sucrose, fructose, and dextrose. Fructose and dextrose, which is glucose, are components of inverted sugar. So the fructose doesn't break down like the sucrose does, which makes dextrose, because it's easier to invert sucrose than it is fructose. So when you add the Apis to it, you get even closer to real nectar. So you have to pay attention to what you're buying. Typically in the spring, the Highland, the bees won't go after Apis, especially if it's the activator, which that is what you put in the syrup, is the activator. You don't put the regular Apis in the syrup because it doesn't mix well. If you're going to use the regular Apis or the regular strong microbials, that's meant to be fed dry. But if you get the knockoff Apis, you have to mix it with granulated sugar for them to eat it.
You talking about Apis biologic? You talking about the stuff that was in the fondant, or?
No. I'm talking about the stuff that you get. It's called activator. That's what you put in a liquid. That's the liquid additive.
That's what I get.
Yeah. You can get Man Lake's version, Better Bees version, or Millet Bees version of Apis. They copied it as close as they could.
Yeah, but Man Lake got sued over it too.
They did. That's exactly right. So either Apis bought strong microbials or strong microbials bought Apis. So regardless, that's who has Apis now in their products, the true Apis. So Apis is still called rocket fuel. And strong microbials calls it super fuel. Yes, it's called Apis Biologics Activator. Is for the syrup.
Yeah, but because the original names for it was always, to me, confusing.
Yes, it was.
And the original owner of the company would not change it. And for some, he wasn't. I'll put it to you this way: he just wasn't a person that knows how to market a product.
Right, but he knows how to buy another company. I'll tell you that. So, but it's ProSweet. When you put Apis in it, it's a different product. A very different product. It becomes basically full on nectar is what it does. So how are you this evening, Charlie?
All right. That was a worthless chat we went to.
Yeah, he kept breaking up. So I bowed out.
I stayed to the question and answer session, and some of the Did you hear that part? Did you say any of the questions and answers part? Or did you get out after?
No, when I texted you, I was out.
Okay, I didn't see the text.
Yeah.
But
So
he stated that you could put Varoxan on, and it wasn't just going to hold the mites at a certain level. It actually was going to knock the mites down.
yeah, he's a company man. Yeah, he's going to tell you that. Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. And then I asked him about Guard and humidity and temperatures and things like that. And I don't know. I'll put it to you this way. I'll stick to whatever Bob Benny says, I'll follow.
Yeah.
When Bob says don't put it on after 90 degrees, that's what I'm not going to do.
Yeah.
And
so Roy, it's a good question. Where to go? Moving quick. Pro Sweet is like a 2-to-1. You don't feed it below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. When it's below 50 degrees Fahrenheit for 3 days, you don't feed liquid feed. It's way too thick, and the colder it gets, the thicker it gets, and it will freeze solid, or it will basically crystallize at a low temperature, and when you're down below 50. I've got a quarter of a toad out here that did it. So yeah, I know it'll do it. So like I said, this is what I do in the Mid-Atlantic. I see Tiny Creek is going to use Hive Lab concentrate that they're sending him to test out. Yeah, by all means, try it. Hive Live, Pro Sweet, any of the feeds that you get, liquid feeds especially, it's not the end all be all. So it's a supplement. I did try. I'm a Hive Live dealer. I did try it in my hives. It worked very well. Really, really well, in fact. And the bees at first wouldn't go near it because it does have thymol in it. So they would not touch it. And after it stayed in there for a few days, they got hungry. They started eating it. So hello, Tom. But we're going to talk about feeding tonight. So who else has a good regimen besides Charlie? Who else out here in the chat's got a good feeding regimen that they do in the fall? It does, DC. It does help with gut issues. But if they're not used to thymol being in the hive, it's going to take them a little bit. And it does help them clean their gut. So it's not a bad thing to have on the hive. Hey, Stefan. Flower Street, how are you tonight? Dodd House, good to see you in here.
What were you saying that the bees wouldn't eat it right away?
No, they wouldn't go to it right away because they don't like the smell of thymol. My bees hate thymol.
Yeah, but what your feed's got thymol in it?
No, the Hive Alive.
Oh.
Hive Alive's got a little bit of thymol in it. Not much, but you can smell it. It's enough in it to smell it. So.
Yep. I don't know. I fed Hive Alive. I didn't. I won't. I don't know. I didn't see any dramatic changes.
No, I mean, I saw a little bit of change in the health of the bees for the better. And it did what it was supposed to do. It helped them clean their gut. So late in the fall, early in the winter, late in the fall, early in the spring, excuse me. Yeah, it's good to feed it at that time and get them to get their gut cleaned out from the winter being cooped up. Because if we have another winter like we had last year, my bees flew some, but they didn't start flying a lot until almost the end of April. There you go. Rocket fuel in the sugar water. Yep.
Yeah, when I first used that, I could see a big difference. Last couple of years I've been using it. I have not seen a big difference because I've had a lot of other issues with either queens and dead outs and things of that nature. But
Yep, that's a good insurance policy because not you're giving them that fondant that they need just in case, and you're also it's got thymol in it too. Everything Hive Live makes has got a little bit of thymol in it, and it gets their guts cleaned out. It gets them ready to go.
All right, I got a Roy there. He talks about pulling these supers and he's going to feed thin syrup to draw a comb out. And I've often found that, well, I haven't not really gave him thin syrup, but you know, in the springtime is when you want them to draw a comb for you and while the flow's on. But have you been successful? Have you had that experience as far as drawing comb in the fall or in the late summer?
I know a lot of people that do it. We do put supers back on with Pro Sweet and let them clean them up, and we'll also put one or two on there and let them pack it for the winter. And if something needs to be fixed, or if there's comb that's not completely drawn out in there, we go back in the spring, it's drawn out. Or in the fall, you know, when we check them for the get ready for fall treatment, it's drawn out. So,
yeah.
Yes, Chris, the thymol in the syrup is Hive Alive. They're liquid feed. It's a light, thin syrup with a little bit of thymol in it. Yes, you're right. Yeah, DC's correct. And Roy, yeah, you can do really well with it. And Darren does it up until the end of August. I mean, we've got supers on there now that they're drawing out.
Yeah.
They're finishing them up.
And Darren, you had enjoyed your video there about your bees mating success and everything.
Yeah.
And I think he said in his video this year, instead of having a 10% success rate in queen rearing, he had, I think, a 60%.
Yeah, I'm so happy for Darren because he's one of the attendees at the class, and he was writing notes furiously in the class, and I'm glad it all worked out for him.
And as far as grafting and all that kind of stuff, it's like riding a bicycle. The more you do it, the a little more confident and the better you get at it.
Yep, you're right.
And the higher your, hey Todd, and the higher your success rate goes.
Yes, exactly.
Talking about queens, I had about, I think out of 30, I had 25 that hatched and I put in cages and stuff, but I had them in the JZBZ candy cages, you know, and you have those strips and you put the candy thing in there. I've lost 2 or 3 of those queens where they dropped down into that candy and the candy got sort of like quicksand liquid and they just got covered up in it and couldn't get out. So, you know, that's a learning experience for me about raising queens, and especially this hot weather. So I laid those that strip on its side, so where the cages are sideways and laying on top of the frames, which actually the feeding bees can get on there a lot easier and stuff.
So Chris, it's if you add it yourself, you are taking a big chance of getting too much or not enough. It's a very, very, very thin line to walk when you start doing that.
Yeah, if you're going to do that, I would get the Hive Alive.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to be very accurate because thymol oil, you can either get it too concentrated or not concentrated enough. And if you get too concentrated, there's a chance you'll damage a queen or you'll get a bee kill. So you got to be very, very careful. So, I mean, feeding regimen? Anybody?
I don't start feeding sugar water until about mid-September.
Yeah.
And that's 2-to-1 with Apis biologic mixed in there. And I feed them to the point where they just quit eating it.
Yep. Yeah, we've already started feeding some. So,
well, I do have some nukes out there. I do have some there's several nukes, and I've got a quart of Pro Sweet on each one of them. To help them get up to speed as far as getting them to lay. I've been in the hives a little bit. I mean, this is what my yard looks right now. There's a shim sitting on top of one of my hives there. Those pictures were taken Sunday, I guess it was. They all got a shim on. They all got ApriGuard on, 25 grams, except for like the one that's got the brick on top. You'll see paper there. That's where I had a mated queen, and it was queenless. I papered her in about a week ago. Now that one doesn't get any ApriGuard because it's been a queenless hive. So you didn't have the brood. Now you don't have the mites. So I'll probably treat that hive, let's say in September, with Formic Pro when she gets more established. I've got several of them like that. There's a couple nukes. One of them was a 10 framer that I condensed into a nuke and papered her in, and she's doing fine. Gave her some Pro Sweet, and along with another nuke out there that I'm trying to build up. I did not do any ApriGuard on any of the nukes. Thought about it, but there's I figured I'll try it in the big hives first and get used to it there. And
when in the spring do you go to your global patties, Darren? How soon do you go to them? February, March? Yeah, see, when early March. Okay, good. Because that way you're giving the bees a chance to brood up good and strong before the flow hits in the spring. So if you count back 45 days from April 1st, it's always somewhere around the 15th of February. And that's when I drop patties on mine, pollen patties on. And typically I hit 2 to 3 rounds of pollen patties. And then I'll start feeding the dry powder Apis mixed in with pollen sub and a little bit of sugar on top of the frames. And they'll belly right up to the bar, or I mix up a slurry and put it on top of the frames. So Yeah, that's a good spring food form, is that. And it goes on quick. It doesn't take long.
I don't know. I don't feed. I used to do pollen powder, but I got pollen bound all the time, and I do get a lot of pollen up here. So I'm going to do some what's left of my global patties with apis in there, and probably February and all that. Let it go at that.
Yeah, I can see that, Darren. I can. Um, and I don't think end of March was too late last year. And if you think about it, you're not really, when you open that hive up in the winter, you're not in there that long. You're not taking the lid all the way off. You're just lifting it up, sliding the fondant or the patty in, and closing it up. I mean, you're not in there that long. So it's not going to lose that much heat. So Todd, be aggro to his syrup dish. Hey Todd, I got about a case of that stuff, maybe a couple cases of it, because my bees won't touch it. It'll lay right there on the top of the frames and they won't touch it.
What's that, a powder?
Yeah, they have an activator and they have a like it's the same, almost same formula as Apis. It's a little bit different.
So, Tom, how's the tornado out there? I heard the air raid sirens going off. I thought maybe you were having a bombing. I don't think there's any. I presume there's. I don't think there's any sirens around here. Maybe because they have that kind of weather out there.
Yeah. So Darren, I'm in hives year round. I'm not. I'm not in them long. I'm in them long enough to get the patty in or piece of fondant in and close it up and go to the next one. So I'm not in it that long at all. You're supposed to add it to syrup. Okay. Well, it's two different versions of it. So I don't know if you got the other version or not. I didn't lose any trees, but my neighbor, you're talking about Tom, Mac? Yeah, he didn't lose any trees, but neighbors did. No damage. Well, congratulations. It's not a blue pill. What are you talking about, Clay? What are you trying to say?
There's B Agra and B. What is it? B Narel.
Mineral.
Oh,
B mineral.
So anyway,
I had no luck with it. So,
but Another thing I've noticed here, you can definitely tell the queens are slowing down.
Yeah, they are. They're slowing down because you're in the dirt. So mine stopped about a week and a half ago altogether. There's Mr. Will.
Hey guys, I'm not turning my camera on tonight. I just got out of the bee yard.
Uh-oh.
Just busy.
Okay.
Charlie, I'm sorry I couldn't make my technology work to get into that Teams meeting earlier.
You didn't miss anything.
No, you didn't.
Oh, okay.
The guy was coming in from another country, and the internet service was terrible, and
Yep.
you couldn't hear him about every third word, and
Okay.
what he was saying wasn't all that great.
Yeah, you didn't miss anything.
Okay. My bad, because I'm planning on using ApiGuard here coming up. So
I got it in my hive right now. The hive's behind me in that picture. They all got the shim there, like that one is sitting on top of that hive right there. And they all got 25 grams in there. So
yeah, I watched your video. It was good.
Yeah, it was a good video.
Yep.
What video was it? Oh, mine?
Yeah.
You know, I got a lot of compliments on instructional, how well instructional it was.
So did you use the tins or did you use the tub with a syringe?
Tub. Yeah, I bought the tub. I had the tub.
That was good. I mean, you showed just sticking that, thing, that hypodermic whatever right in there, and
it's a 50 mil, I guess you call it 50 cc or 50 milliliter syringe.
Yeah.
Now, something I didn't explain in there was you draw up past the word, like say you draw up to 30 or 35, and then you squirt down to 25, and then go ahead and put it on the card that's supplied. Now, the guy tonight said that card was something about it wicks the product out or something like that, or whatever. Like you need the card for it to work properly or whatever.
Well, I found that last year, I used it last year. They reduced the size of those cards. You know that, right? Because 26 mLs barely fit on it. Whereas in the past, when I've used those cards, you've had plenty of room to spread it out.
25 grams. I mean, it hardly filled the card up. Now,
yeah, they reduced the size of those cards.
About 50 on there, I'd say it'd fill it up pretty darn good.
Yeah.
But after you run out of cards and the bees eat them up and whatever,
you go to the restaurant and you get a paper coaster and use a paper coaster, because that's all it is an unprinted paper coaster. That's all it is.
And it's got some slickum on it.
Yeah. That's all it is.
Yeah, early goldenrod. I don't know. There might be some goldenrod around here, but we don't get no flow out of it.
Yeah, we don't either.
We never did. Yep, Todd. I mixed it up. I took a what do you call it? A paint stir, and mixed it up. And actually, Todd, it'd been sitting here, never been opened. Opened it up just to make sure it was going to be all right. And there wasn't any, what would you say? It was well mixed. There wasn't any separation. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
I just went ahead and mixed it all up. It was like, kind of like a fluffy stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've seen on like Brad down there. See you, Sandy.
Good night, Sandy.
But I don't know. For right now, it's working for me, I think.
Yep.
I don't know. Some of the highs were super strong and bees everywhere, and some of the highs they were still kind of down in below the top medium super. I just went ahead and put it on top. I figured the fumes would go down. Yesterday, before I put those shims on, I had lots of bearding because I had closed up the screen bottom boards, and it was about 90 degrees. So I went out there today and I got the shims on and the cards in, and everybody's inside the house. Now, of course, now the humidity isn't quite as bad today, and the temperatures, mid 80s. And so I don't know whether the shim gave him that extra room to go up inside the hive and hang out there or not.
It was nice today. It was only 77 here today.
That's about 85 here, I think.
Yeah. And we had a nice breeze all day long. So it was good. We had a nice day today. Day would have been a perfect day to work in bees.
It was 80. Yeah. The high was 84.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that breeze made all the difference, and I think the humidity came down.
Yeah, it did. Humidity did come down. And the humidity is going to stay down till about Friday, I think. And after that, it's going to jump and all that. But I had one of the guys on the chat here called me up and said, 3 or 4 days, those bees will have that stuff cleaned out.
Yeah.
And gone.
Yep. Then you can do another treatment.
Thank you, Brian.
Boy, my honey's really looking bad. Worser than I thought it would. Holy cow.
Nancy went out all day today in the hives.
Oh, she picked a good one.
Nancy, you missed it. You were late. You missed it. You missed the whole thing. She texted me before the weekend or over the weekend. She says, "Can we talk about ProSuite Monday night and everything about ProSuite?" I said, "Sure." So we did. And she missed it. That's all right.
But anyway, like I say, I got it on there. I feel confident that, the bees are just, responsive wise. They're, in the house. I got a nice little stretch of good weather here.
Yeah.
And that seems to be, like for Formic Pro, I wanted 80 degrees or less. And for AprilGuard, I'm going to say 85 or less. And humidity, I still say, plays a part in intensity of any of these fumigants.
It does.
Man, I agree 100% on that.
Yeah.
And, the guy was on that chit chat tonight. Oh, I'm down here in Florida and it's 100% humidity and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like,
did he ever say what time of the day he puts it on?
No. He said if he got up to 50 grams, he said then they started leaving. And I'm like, well, yeah.
Of course they did.
I had another guy. It was I don't know, Bees 4 something another. He was putting AprilGuard on, and he said, I just put 25 on. That's it. I've never done it, never fluctuated the dosage. Just drop 25 on and be done with it.
Yeah.
And then, Nancy kind of remind me there about the brood cycles. A lot of people have a lot of they're always concerned about, well, it's going to shut the hive down. It's going to shut the queen down. Shut the queen down. And, you know, like, especially with Formic Pro. And I'm like, I don't see a big notice a lot of that problem.
Yeah. Because you're using it at the right time of year with the right weather and the right humidity. You know?
And then like this AprilGuard, I mean, it's definitely easy. I mean, you go squirt, squirt, squirt. I went out there last night about 6:45, and at 7:15 I was done. And that was putting the shims on. And what I did do, I'd have 4 or 5 cards loaded, preloaded with 25 grams in, and I'd just pick them up once I opened up a hive. Because the bees have not been too friendly, let me tell you. Especially, I'm not sure, but I think it's that second white hive right down there past the one with the brick. I think that's the one, man. They did not want me in their hive at all.
Yeah, of course, you done stripped them of all their honey. You done tore them apart and everything else. And then, no, they don't want you back in there.
Mm-mm.
The last little nuke I got into, I wanted to set another box on top of it because it was, every frame was, bulging with bees, and it was a little too late, and I knew it, but I wanted to give them a box. Well, they trued me up.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I think I took 6, and they're the really nice little yellow bees, but it was just too late. And they correct me every time I do something stupid,
Oh, yeah, they'll correct you. That's for sure.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, even Ron says so down in Southern Maryland.
Yeah, mine, I mean, they've been pretty good since we took
I
honey.
went out there. When I did out there, I went out there to film that video in the middle because I had sunlight and all that stuff. And it was sort of had been overcast all morning, and actually it spit a little bit of rain while I was out there, and just to do that video. And I had those Coroplast boards. Well, I had scraped all the trash off of them, and I brought them around here to the house where I had a hose and I washed them to kind of get any dirt and gunk off of them. And my pants were wet. And man, I got around that one hive and they just stung the tar out of me around on my legs and stuff and all. So, and then I went out there that evening, and then, I knew I had my smoker for that bunch, and even I smoked them up pretty good, but even so, I opened them up, put the shim on, threw the card in there, closed them up, and they were still kind of nasty. But it's just that one hive. If they're going to be like that in the springtime, they're going to get a new queen.
Yeah.
And all that.
Yeah.
But it's like Darren, he was concerned about using Formic Pro, and he, put it on and got some experience with it. And I think that's where I'm at now. I've got some experience with it. I kind of see what the bees' reactions are to it, and put it on the hive. Tight, skinny jeans. Yeah, well, I don't know whether they're tight, skinny jeans or not. They're them darn stretchy things. You can't find decent jeans anymore that have got real denim in it.
Yeah, I know.
It's like everything's this stretchy garbage.
The only thing that I have found that fills that bill.
Nancy lives dangerously again.
Yes, she is. Is Carhartts. That's the only thing I've found that is true thick, heavy denim to work bees.
Yeah, but and they are true thick, heavy denim, but boy, they're tough when it's hot.
I'm talking about the jeans or the bibs.
Oh, the bibs or something. Okay.
Yeah, not the coveralls.
Okay.
but that's the only thing that I can find. Now, if you get the right Wranglers, they're heavy denim. They're not stretchy. But they're hard to find.
That's what I wear as the Wranglers normally.
Yeah.
I got away from the Carhartts because even their jeans are just so heavy, you know?
Yep. And Duluth, if you get their fire hose pants, you got to be careful when you get them because you need to get them a little bit longer than what you wear because they shrink when you wash them. So, but they work well too. They're nice and thick, heavy material.
Tom still's wearing shorts and t-shirt.
Not me, buddy.
Not me. Come on down there to my hives. They'll light your butt up.
Come on out here to Virginia in the valley. I got a hive that you won't go in. You go in with shorts and t-shirt. Guarantee you won't.
So the PA state now picnic was this weekend up at Del Grosso's.
Did you go?
Yeah, I went. And it was kind of interesting. One of the guys was there who's a big commercial guy here in PA, pollination circuit guy. Super, very, very nice, very educated, been doing this a long time. Now his son's taking the business over. And he gave a nice little talk. He's usually involved with going down to DC and, you know, champion the beekeeping cause with all the congressmen and senators and all this. And he alluded, and Bill, I'm kind of curious what your take on this is. He alluded that there's been a bunch of studies done on what happened with this 70% bee kill.
Yep.
And that they're not really being forthcoming with a bunch of the information out of that.
No, they're not.
And I'm not. He was asking everybody to reach out to your congressman or your senator, which they both email me, and I'm gonna harass them next time they send me an email to, you know, get this information out to the beekeepers, because bees are the barometer, you know, for the environment and really for us. And we chatted a little bit, and I'm not going conspiracy theory on you, but the way it sounded was these neonicotinoids and pyrethrin stuff, and there was a third chemical that they use on the crops.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying that the farmers are having trouble killing, you know, the pests.
Mm-hmm.
So what they're doing is they're being told to mix some of these neonicotinoids and some of these other chemicals and spray them on their corn crops and spray them on their soybean crops. And I guess maybe they were never tested being combined. And he's thinking, he's very concerned about, you know, that your bees will collect some of that blowing corn pollen and they will put it into their winter stores. And, you know, that's one of the things that midwinter, when they're dependent on those stores that they put up, that, you know, when they're weaker and it's colder in the wintertime, that he feels that is making some type of nasty cocktail that's killing them.
Well, as far as like the neonicotinoid on the corn, usually the seeds are covered with it, and that makes the plant systemically.
It does for certain pests.
And Charlie, I don't know nothing about what they spray. You know what I mean? I'm just
see, that's the thing. Most people think it's all about spraying, and really the farmers are spraying less now than what they used to be. I mean, neonicotinoid is nicotine is what it is. And they coat the seeds.
Yep.
And then it makes the corn plant itself, if a bug insect bites the leaf, it will kill that insect if it's that type of a insect.
Correct.
And
Exactly.
whereas the pollen, corn's wind pollen base, but if
And it's not something they normally collect,
right, it's something that if there's nothing else out there, the bees will collect it, I presume.
Yes, they will.
And and then you have the sprays. A lot of that, like my son, he's went to school and all this stuff, and he says, "Look, pesticides is a umbrella of it's a word for it's a total umbrella of everything." He says a weed is a pest, a bug is a pest. So you're not spraying pesticides, you're spraying either an insecticide for insects or a fungicide for fungus or a what's the one that you use to kill plants?
Herbicide.
Herbicide, for that. So when they're planting no-till corn, first they're going to burn, they burn the field down.
Yep.
Kills everything, which I'm not crazy about. But anyway, they plant the corn and then they come back and then they spray a herbicide so the corn doesn't have to compete for resources. And then there might be a fungus out there. I don't know just what. And that kind of a thing. And that's pretty much it. Something I just heard this recently, and I can't remember who was talking about it.
So when they plant corn or beans, they burn the field down with an herbicide. It's a mixture of 3 herbicides that they burn it down. Then they come in and they fertilize. Then they plant. And when they plant, they put fertilizer down with it when they plant, especially no-till. And then they come in with a pre-emerge and they spray the field. Then they come in with a post-emerge herbicide that doesn't affect corn or the bean plant, and they spray again. And that kills anything that may have come back or is trying to come back, like watercress, orchard grass, that kind of stuff. That's what that kills. And then at that point, the corn and beans are tall enough that it's created a canopy over it, and it's not getting any sunlight down to the soil, so the weeds won't grow. So that's how they do it.
Yeah, not like my son, he'll spray out, clean this hay fields up. I said, what are you spraying here? He said, pre-emergent. So the weed won't be able to germinate.
Yes.
But it's like you say, it's chemical farming. I mean, in general.
Yeah.
But
tillage,
the bee kill out there, who knows? I don't know.
Tillage will do the same thing that the burn down and the pre-emerge will do. It does the same thing. And it's also better for the soil because you're putting the oxygen and everything back in the soil and you're turning it under. But when you turn the soil, you put oxygen in it. So it's better for the plant.
But
or you think they're holding back a little bit on some of the information for that, Bill?
I do. Beltsville USDA lab published. I promised DC we weren't going to talk about Varroa mite tonight, but DC Beltsville USDA lab published that the beekeepers weren't properly treating the mites, and it also is contributed to viral load.
Well, that's a whole bunch of tap dancing around everything.
Yeah. So Nancy, people still till, and the erosion thing, it's a big, huge misnomer. There is not that much erosion when you start tilling.
As long as you leave waterways.
Yeah. Or if you've got a real steep hill, you don't till that hillside.
Well, there was, I don't know, they used to plow, then they don't plow. Then they used to have a heavy duty super duty disc. They used to disc and it would look like it plowed.
Right.
And they've been a gamut of different things. What always kind of amazes me is in farming, everything comes around. When I started out, we had a sickle bar mower. Then we bought a new ideal crusher to crush the hay so it'll dry the stem so it would dry faster. Then here comes New Holland out with a hay bind, which basically you combine the sickle bar mower and the crushing rollers into one machine.
Yep.
Now they're coming out with a mower and this crushing machine.
Yep.
And it's like you're doing, instead of making one pass across the field, you got, we got to do it this way, and I'm like, guys, you're going back in history again. But anyway, I don't know. As far as the bees out there, I would think that probably they're all commercial guys. And what were they using? Most likely Apivar.
Yep.
Because they want to amortize, Apivar, whatever you want to call it. They want to be able, as far as labor force, go in when they're 2,000 hives. They touch 2,000 hives one time, come back in 6 weeks, and then do whatever that they need to do. If they used Guard, they'd have to touch 2,000 hives
3 times.
Let's say 4 times, maybe 3 times at the minimum, if they were doing 35, 35, and 30. So that cost a lot of money. And then, like you were saying, and the other folks are saying, if you have a high mite load, it isn't the mite load right now, it's the viruses that
it's the viral load 3.5, 5 months later that kill the bees.
Yeah, the viral load is so high because of the mite load and all.
Yep.
And all that stuff. And
I just thought it was interesting. You know what I mean? It came up at the meeting and they talked on it a little bit. And
well, now Doug there, just from Saskatchewan, he said they got there's millions of acres up there that are just, it's all no-till, zero-till.
Right. Yep.
So Doug, I was watching a video and I heard that Alberta and Saskatchewan got together and went out to the big government meeting there, and they said they're going to succeed from Canada. I was wondering,
here we go.
I wonder whether that was true or not.
Charlie, you had to kick that can of worms over, didn't you?
I was going to say,
but now we're not talking about succeeding to the United States. They're going to turn into their own 2 countries.
I don't know. You never know.
And the guy said Alberta is the #1 place where all the oil is and all that kind of stuff. They got plenty of money over there,
and all the minerals and everything else.
Yeah, and
rare
I think
minerals.
Saskatchewan, I think, has the same. I'm not sure about that. What they do. No truth to it. Okay.
Inquiring minds want to know, Doug.
I don't know. The guy was, talking about how, it could do this, it could do that type of thing. Who knows?
Yeah.
Kentucky said they traded later. The commercial guys traded. Well, let's face it. I mean, when you're a commercial beekeeper, you do everything a whole lot different. And all that stuff as far as how they treat and how they manage and things of that nature. And I'll say this, used to be, the statistics on all these different governmental statistics programs would say, usually the commercial guy was always ahead of the backyard beekeeper and stuff like that. But I think that a good portion, not all, but a good portion of the backyard beekeepers and us, let's say us sideliners, as I call ourselves, have been better educated in treatments, and we're a little bit more vigilant about treating it.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started, you had two camps. You had the non-treatment camp, and then you had the treatment camp, and then they would lock horns, and you don't see that quite as much anymore.
Yeah, DC's got a good comment. Yeah. There's always more to the story that we'll never know. You're right.
Another thing of it is that, ever since, when I started, and this has only been 16 years ago or so, we didn't know anything about Varroa mites compared to what we know now. Ever since Dr. Sammy Ramsey came on board, proved that the Varroa mite was not sucking the blood out of the bee, and then everything was about fat bodies. And then he started really bringing in a lot of solid, good information about this thing. Things have turned around because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, how's Will or Ryan doing?
Doing all right. How you doing?
Good. Been watching your videos. I see you had a queenless hive there.
Yeah,
I also see you put your April guard in between your boxes.
Yeah, when I run a double.
Yeah.
Well, that's because most of the brood was in the bottom on those colonies. Yeah.
Is that? I'll put that out to everybody. Is that what you're supposed to do? Recommended, whatever.
That's what I've done. I figured there'd be more bees around that area. Not really sure, but yeah, I split it like that.
Yeah.
I can't see the chat.
Oh.
Bill, I had a question for you, and I'm gonna hop off here. I didn't feel like explaining it all in the chat. I think I saw on Bracken or Bruce's channel about a year ago they were using windshield washer fluid for mite washes. Does that work? Because I'm getting a whole lot of 1s and 0s and 2s, and I feel like that's kind of low for what I normally am this time of year.
It depends on the type that you use. It's got to have a high alcohol content.
Okay.
If you use one that doesn't have an alcohol content or has a low alcohol content, then no, it's not going to work very well. It's got to have that high alcohol content.
What is considered high?
Above 70%.
All right, I'm going to have to check that then. And
yeah, Randy Oliver talked about that, and the isopropyl alcohol that you buy in the store. There's 70% concentrate, and I think there's some 90 if you can find it. The 90 does a better job.
I'll tell you what works good too. Go to the liquor store, and if you can get it Everclear,
yeah,
not in Maryland,
or moonshine. Either one of those two.
Okay, so I probably got some false readings then, because I had some hives I know didn't swarm were getting 0s and 1s, and I'm like, well, I mean, I use Apivar in the spring, and I'm like, that doesn't sound right to me. I'm going to treat them anyways, but because I've been using windshield washer fluid because it's cheap. You get a gallon of it for $10. But
yeah. Todd in California says tequila works too.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you use, Bill?
Well, let me put it to you this way: it's not taxed.
Okay.
That answer your question?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm gonna get off here. I didn't feel like typing all that in there. I was just okay. So it's 70%, and you want
or greater.
90. Right.
Well, try to find 90.
Yeah, try 70% will work. But if you can find the 90, that's even better.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some. I'm gonna have to rewash some colonies then, because
Yeah, Smirnoff vodka works well too.
Charlie, have you done any mite washes, Charlie?
No, I have,
Do,
but I haven't lately.
do you even bother with that in the summer, or you just treat regardless?
No, not really. Not in the summertime.
Okay.
I guess more or less I prophylactically treat or whatever they call that.
Yeah, you have a IP. You have a integrated pest management system.
Well, the main thing of it is like in the wintertime, I watch the drops on my drop boards because I'm not going to tear my hives apart in the middle of winter. And I find that works quite well for me. I mean, my treatment program is like right now. Okay, now I'm doing April Guard.
Right.
September Labor Day weekend. Normally, I'm going to be doing Formic Pro full strength, as long as we got the weather for 2 weeks. Then I'm going to feed. Then I'm going to hit them with OA vapor twice a month throughout the winter, as long as I like 45-degree weather. Now, usually January, February, January is when I don't get to treat them, but then I'll hit them in February. They're usually a day or so there that you can treat.
So Charlie, you're 4 treatments now a year?
3. Well,
Well, no, you're 4.
I use 3 products.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I treat
but then,
you might say about 8 months out of the year.
Yeah, but you treat in the spring, right?
Now I don't do any spring treatment. I mean, what do you call spring? February, March?
Yeah, February 15th. I have in the years through on Var, February 15th.
Yeah, April bar. I'm not even gonna. I'm done with that.
No, I know.
My treatment is this. All right, here it is, late July, going into August. I would normally put an April bar on. Now it's April Guard for 4 weeks.
Right.
All right. Now, Labor Day weekend, normally in the last 2 years, and you've noticed this, we've had 80-degree or less temperatures, and we had very low humidity. It was almost like a spring that one year. You know, it was not jacket weather, but it was nice. I'll have to say that. It was the one weekend was when you had the Labor Day weekend at the fair at Maryland State Fair. So then I put on my Formic Pro. Now I do the same thing. Just like I did with April Guard. I wait till the evening if it's a really nice day, I'll just 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening, put it all on and I'm done. And put it over top of the brood, 2 strips. And my nukes, I'll put, if they're 3 mediums or 2 deeps, I'll put a strip on. I'll take 1 satchel, break it in half, and treat 2 nukes. But my nukes, I mean, we had some argument with a bee inspector in PA. I said, look, my nukes are built like my big hives. I have screen bottom boards. I have a full entrance, just like a normal hive does, the width of 5-frame nuke box. I don't have a bird hole in the front of it with a disc and all that stuff. So it breathes and acts like a regular hive. And then I got 10 frames. So like I told him, I said, 10 frames horizontally or 10 frames vertically, So, and it's worked. It's worked very well. And then after that, I feed. And then this past year, I know it was a Saturday. It was November the 1st on a Saturday. I hit him with OA vapor. I went back that next day, pulled those boards out to read my mite drops. And like I tell people, I don't sit there and count every mite. I sit there and look at the board. Is there a pile of mites on there that just jumps out at you? Because you don't have to look for it. They're just there. Hive, I had 5 hives like that. Those hives got treated that day, 2 days in a row. The rest of them, it didn't. Every 2 weeks, I treated all my hives, except for, I think, this past year was January and February. I didn't treat. It was just cold. And it was, now years prior to that, usually around the 1st of January, sometimes it's always Navi weekend. And that was a good weekend to treat, but I'm in Navi. And then the rest of the month it was cold.
Yeah, I'll be there this year.
And then February, usually there's a day there somewhere that I can treat. Usually we have a mild February, but not this past year. Now, Bill, you treat with temperature doesn't really matter to you, it seems like,
Nope.
right?
It doesn't. I treat 4 times a year, once a quarter. But now in the winter, it's December, January, February with OA. I don't use OA any other time of the year but those 3 months. And that's it. And then in the spring, it depends on because I run a solid board. I'll reach up and I'll take a hook and sweep out the bottom board in the spring, and I'll count the mites that way. But if I don't see any, then I'll treat one strip of Format Pro into March, first part of April, because I catch a temperature above 50 and a low humidity. And then I'm good until this time of year, and then they get apigar. And then I'm good again until end of September, first week of October, and then they get Format Pro. I do a mite wash in July, and I do a mite wash in September.
What are your counts right now, Bill? Or have you not done it yet?
0.
Okay, well maybe I do have 0 and 1s and 2s. I just find that hard to believe.
But I'm using
yeah, I got you.
I'm using real alcohol.
Right. Oh yeah, I'm yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I know mine are right.
Right. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you, Bill, answering my question. I'm gonna get back on the
yeah, man. Anytime.
Thanks for getting back to me, my texts and all that stuff, Ryan.
Yeah, sorry, Troy. I've been busy with work, man, and everything
No,
else.
I just was, asking. I mean, I know that you said you were going to do 25 or 35 gram in that one video, and then the last video it's been 25 grams. So,
25 for singles, 35 for doubles.
35 for doubles.
Yep. Which yours are pretty much doubles.
Yeah, I consider mine doubles with 3 mediums.
Yep.
And you're putting them in between, right?
For my doubles, I am. For my singles, just on top. I got that shim board on top. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right. We'll catch you later.
Yep.
Yeah. As far as me, I just put the shim up on top and put the darn card up on top. I mean, there's those ones here right next to my shoulder there, the purple, the white. There was bees upstairs, big time.
Darren, I like your treatment. I like your mite wash.
But and then I had a few out there at the end that there wasn't really a whole lot of bees up on that third super.
Hey JW, if you're using the right alcohol, you strain all the mites out of it, you run it through a tea bag strainer, and then you drink the alcohol.
That's why he's falling over his hives all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian. So anyway, I mean, I'm just putting them up on top. Yeah, I figured this way, the fumes are heavier in the air, so they're going to sink down through the hive and all that. So we'll see.
Bill, are you familiar with formic acid? Apparently, I was talking to, I try to network and get around when I'm at such an event like the weekend.
In the liquid format?
And the formic acid, apparently there used to be something that was approved in Canada where you put maybe 20 milliliters in a syringe.
Yep.
And you shoot it down inside, liquid now.
Yep.
Shoot it down inside the 4 corners of the hive, and it's like an immediate flash treatment.
Yep.
for hives. My understanding is that people abused using formic acid straight and were ripping their livers or kidneys or something. I mean, it's, you know, you gotta wear the right PPE and be
Yep,
respectful
you
of it.
do.
And I guess that went away. But
Mhm.
this guy is a predominant, you know, local guy here that's very involved state, you know what I mean? Very involved with the state clubs and everything else. And he was like, that's the way to treat your bees. That initial flash treatment just annihilates those mites.
Well,
Yeah, but not only are you annihilating the mites when you do that, you get a bee kill with it too. And a lot of times, what the bee that you're going to kill most of the time with it is a queen.
Okay. I had never, you know, forgive my ignorance, I had never even heard of putting formic acid straight into a hive. You know what I mean? And it kind of blew my mind a little bit.
You might be a little off on that, because if you watch Brad up at Faith Apiaries, up there it's legal to get formic in a liquid form.
Yep.
And they made pads up themselves. I've also seen where they had I'll call it like a fume board, and they sprayed that stuff on this fume board. I'm not sure. It was a percentage of it. It wasn't 100% formic. It was a percentage of whatever it was, 10%, 20%, whatever.
Okay.
And you dose that thing, and then you put that fume board on that high for so many minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and it hit them hard, and then you took it off, you know.
Right. Now, if you're going to use liquid formic, you use it on a fume board, like Charlie was just saying, and you cannot have honey supers on when you do it.
Yep, I'm not going to do it. I'm using Apiguard.
I'm just saying, it's a different strength.
Yeah.
It's full strength formic acid.
Yep.
It burns off quick, and it's very effective. But if you are not careful, you're going to get a bee kill.
I'm not a big formic pro guy, but when I was talking to this guy, you know, about Apiguard and stuff, he kind of acted like I was crazy. You know, that like formic is cheap and formic is, you know, a pretty effective way of treating them. And guys, I'm just it was just a nugget that I brought back that was kind of interesting. I thought,
and
you know what I mean?
I understand. And yes, at one time that was the preferred method for Formic Pro, and it's still legal to do it.
Okay.
And not here in the United States, I don't believe.
Oh yes, it's still approved. I just looked it up. It's still approved, but there's different parameters for it. You cannot use it with honey supers on. The temperature range is 50 to 79 degrees, not 85. It is highly corrosive and highly poisonous, so you have to wear the right PPE. You can't get it on your skin. If you get it on your clothes, it's going to eat through your clothes.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty stuff.
It is. It's formic acid is nasty.
Yeah.
So it's recommended that you put it on a fume board specifically for formic acid. You don't want to mix it with anything else.
I'll say this, there was a chemist in our club several years ago that researched all that. And there was a board, you had a fume board, but it wasn't like the one you think of. It was a special board built a special way and all that. And he was able to, you know, he knew the concentration of formic acid. It wasn't 100% concentration. It was a 20% mix or something like, I don't remember.
Let's see.
But anyway, you know, it was like, you know, like Bill said, it's very dangerous. So I'm not, you know, forget it. we'll just take Formic Pro.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, and like DC, it was a flash. It was some type of a flash.
Yeah, it's a flash treatment.
It was
And
a
it's
flash.
supposed to be on no more than a week if you do it that way.
I forget how many days it was. And he said the bees were pissed. Big
Yep. They hate it.
Oh, I
So
can't
anyway,
imagine
that was
doing
something
it
from
when
the,
it's
I will say, the near past. But anyway, when it comes to the treatments, like I say, for me, I'm going to do the AprilGuard, then I'm going to do the Formic, and then I'm going to do oxalic acid vapor throughout the winter time, twice a month, if everything plays out weather-wise. And then I've been, it's worked for me. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah.
And then I've had some people talk about, and I've done this 3 or 4 years ago, where come mid-September, I think it was, until the end of October, which is right around Halloween, which was when the time changes to the winter time change. And
JW, I can guess how you know.
wow.
so anyway, I hit him. I used to hit him 6 weeks in a row, and I figured I'm getting the mites coming out of the brood, and because I was equating it to AprilVar, the fact that AprilVar is a contact, and it's only working when the mites cross it or whatever, or the bees cross it. And then I said, all right, the next year I said, well, I'm going to do it twice a week, on a Wednesday and a Friday. It's about one, it's like a 4 days and then 3 days, and 4 days and 3 days between the two. I wound up for about a 50 or 60% loss in my nukes at the time. I had let's say 24 nukes and all that. And it sounded logical. I actually looked at Randy Oliver's chart, and how he had, there was a one in the American Bee Journal where he did it this way. There was about 4 or 5 different ways he applied it. And I said, well, this one right here shows that his mite levels were kind of pretty even across, but it didn't work. So that's where I started with Formic Pro, understanding that. And I was doing AprilVar prior to that because it was hot. And then I started, and that was a lot of work. Let me tell you something. Vaporizing your hives twice a week for 6 to 8 weeks. A lot of work.
Oh my.
A lot of work. And I was going through 10 pounds of oxalic acid in a year. Thereabouts.
Good Lord.
That vaporizing that much. And or close to it. I'd buy by the 10-pound bags. And so I quit all that stuff. And now I do it about twice a month throughout the winter time. And my mites are fine. And I'm looking at my mite drops. I make sure that I clean my mite drop thing off prior to doing the vapor that day. And then with 1 or 2 days later, you go out there, you look at the drop board, and you can get a good idea of where you're at with those hives by the drops. And it's been working good for me ever since then. And then understanding like Formic Pro or MiteAway Quick Strips, the same thing. It's a brood miticide where you're killing the mites under the brood. And because I always kept looking at that saying, well, how is it killing mites when half the hive's out on the front porch? Oh, I finally figured all that out. People didn't explain it in those terms. And then AprilVar was fine for a while. And then, like I say, now it's AprilGuard. And which is even, I'll say, better because it's more organic. and then when it comes to the OA, I'm doing less treatments. You're treating 2 hours out of a month of their about, let's say, an hour and a half a treatment, by the time you set up, because I'm running out there with a truck and I got a generator, a 100-foot cord, about an hour and a half, I'm done. And so it just works a whole lot better for me that way, and my bees are fine. So, all right, Nancy says Tom and Tom and Nancy will be on tomorrow night chat, 7:00. All right, cool. So, that's where I'm at. It's one of them things when it comes to mite treatments, you kind of have to figure out what works for you.
Yep.
And what you're comfortable with.
Yep.
And understanding your products and all that stuff.
Exactly.
And develop your own program. And that's how I kind of do it, because my program has changed and changed and changed. Because over the years we've gotten better information, more information. Yep. And things like that. Products that first they had Mighty Way quick strips, and which was, I think, a little bit more potent.
It was
than Formic Pro.
Yep. Had a little bit more formic acid in it.
Yeah. And I didn't know much about it. There wasn't these chats. I put Mighty Way quick strips on, and it was like, man, this is, I opened up the screen bottom board because I didn't know what the heck to expect out of that stuff. And I was new, didn't know. So, but that's, I'm really happy that we have these chats that everybody can. And then Doug says the stores there sell a pad that you soak in formic acid. It duplicates the Formic Pro you buy. Okay. Now, something that I've seen, Doug, you might answer this, is I've seen a product that is sold in Canada that I think it would be great here. And it's kind of like, what's the one that's got thymol in it, and it's those wafers? Apistan?
AP tablets.
There's Appy tablets.
No,
yeah, Appy tablets.
I'm talking about a real mite treatment.
Oh.
That's brown, and you break the stuff up in thirds. Anyway, I seen up in Canada, they had this pad that was impregnated with thymol, and you just put it in there, kind of like a Formic Pro.
Yeah.
And it took care. This guy was using it in his nukes. And AP Life Var.
AP Life Bar, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of. But it was better. April Life Bar, you got all them little things you got to crumble up and all this kind of crazy garbage. Yep. But up in Canada, they had this here. It looked like to me sort of like a sponge, but it wasn't a sponge. It looks like a kind of a hard piece of yellow looking thing, and you just threw it in the hive and it put off the thymol. I forget what it was called now. And it looked like a good idea to me. It was like a better opportunity than April Life Var. Or better product. And all that.
JW's had some good rain out there.
Yeah, Doug says it's a little wafer with thymol in it. Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
But it's not April Life Bar. It's something that's developed up there in Canada. And to me, it looked like a lot. It was about something might be 6 inches long and maybe 3 or 4 inches wide. Kind of like an index card. You just throw it in the hive. I was like, man, that's so simple looking.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried those AP tablets. Never again. They didn't touch them.
I don't know anything about them. Not my thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, Bundy. I'll have to take and copy that and check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. Thymo bar. That's them. They like, it looks like to me like little sponges or something.
Hey, Clay, I'm eating your honey on my toast in the mornings right now. It's your turn. It's great. Good stuff. Thank you.
I don't think any of this stuff is written in English.
What's that?
Thymovar.
Oh, it may not be. I don't think it's approved in the U.S.
Oh, it isn't. But I just thought it looked where do we share? There's what it looked like.
Yeah. It's made by BioVet.
Yeah, but see it's a there's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's yellow. Little yellow bar.
There they are. I would think that would be so easy to use compared to like April Life Bar. And all that.
Yeah.
Because the April Life Bar is kind of crumbly and all that stuff. And all that, but I don't know. I guess it's everything's got to be approved.
Yeah.
Jeremy
And
wants
that's Thymovar, DC. It's not available in the US. It's only in Canada.
Jeremy wants to know whether or not you
I have. Go to my website. Go to the Nabi pre-order page. I'll post it for everybody again tonight. Give me a second to get there. I'm going to do a short, probably tomorrow afternoon, for that as well. There's the link. Right there. If you call me or if you go on the regular web page, you will not get Nabi prices. You can only get the Nabi prices when you go to that link, because that's the pre-order page. That's not a problem, Nancy. They'll be sent when they get back, when I get back. And if you want anything shipped, it gets shipped after Nabi. So Keep that in mind.
What do you say, Charlie? You're running like 18 colonies right now. Is that what it is?
I got 18 honey hives and I got another 8 nukes. 26.
How many of those honey hives did you demarie this year?
All of them.
Oh, you did every single one of them. Okay.
Well, I mean, some of them, I'll say 16 of them because 15 or 16 because I had 2 of them I turned into honey hives. So it always seems to me that a lot of times you have to kind of grow them. I had some queen issues at the time and that kind of thing. So somewhere's around 15 hives, I guess.
Okay. And you did the roll and demarie where you were moving brood up every 2 weeks or something like that.
Not every week.
About every week. Okay.
Using the lifter.
Yep.
How'd you like your
mine
lifter?
together?
Did you use it today?
I didn't use it today because I couldn't find any honey anywhere.
Mm.
That was pretty disappointing. But Deb and I worked through a bunch of them Sunday. And we had some honey, but I'm just kind of going through making sure everybody's queen right, and I'm getting ready to pull here directly. So what there is of it. And I think I'm going to jump on feeding them right away too. I'm going to throw the Apagard on, and I'm going to follow up and start feeding.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Clay, it didn't turn out so good this year, bud. The rain washed the locusts and the
Poplar.
tulip poplar, and it's a tough year. And my clover just isn't right this year either. You know, it seems like.
If you're talking about Dutch clover, I don't get anything out of that.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't get much of anything either.
I think in past years I have, but it's just not out there right now. I don't know what the combination is, but normally we're just white. You know what I mean? And then it seems like you mow it, and a day or two later it comes back even stronger, but very, very little of that around right now.
Yep.
I mean, I got 840 pounds, and I'm only like 160 pounds light, which not bad, for the way the year was.
No, I'd be real pleased with that.
And I don't know, just trying to get all the hives equal strength as far as
I'm going to pull the honey, but I want to get everybody in a big double deep for winter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what I'm getting at is like when you're starting out in the year like that, you want everybody to be queen right. You want all the queens to be producing eggs at the same level per se.
Yeah.
It's been a learning curve for me for the last couple years. Last year I had 50% lossage and I threw in a bunch of new queens and I backpedaled fast and hard and I got 1,000 pounds of honey. Now, last year, July, we had a flow. Now, where it was coming from, even the bee inspector didn't know. And that kind of stuff. So, maybe that was part of it, that the weather was with me, and the flow was with me. And I had them young queens. This year, I had those queens that were their second year. And I demaried last year and most of the hives. And this year is kind of the same way. Yeah, the queen's there. Yeah, the queen's laying. But she ain't doing the job she did last year. I can see last year she laid up everything that she could lay in. This year, she laid up the hive, but instead of having a in a kind of a, instead of the frame being corner to corner slab brood, it was a little shrunken in from both ends. And there was more honey on either end or something like that, or pollen or whatever. And that kind of stuff. So her laying power, just like the lady out of Texas that I watched a video, or actually it was a live Zoom, second year queen, she drops 40% in her laying power. And sure enough, that's what I'd say. And then I also say, with me doing demery and I pushing my queens to lay as much as possible that first year, I'm burning them out. And then there was this year, I think I had several queen issues throughout the honey season. And I was kind of like Brad here from Cajun Homestead. I think that those queens failed right in the middle of the honey season because they were wore out.
Yep.
And I mean, that's my opinion of it. So now I've got a few of them out there. There are 24 queens. I got everybody, every hive now. Finally, I've got them all numbered with cattle tags. I got every one of them. I know exactly what year queen they're in. I got all that information on my phone. Finally got, I'll say, queen organized. And pretty much most of my hives are all late 2025 queens and late in the season. And so I'm suspecting that I'll have a good spring and good honey crop next year if everything holds up according to, having young queens.
Yep.
And then like right now, I'm like, yeah, I got some queens. Am I going to kill the 24 queens? No, I'm not. I'm going to leave them go through. I'll replace them in the spring. If anything, I can get mated queens in early and replace them that way. And hopefully, be good at that. And, I'm really, the last couple of years, I've really focused in on evaluating queens, understanding queens, looking at brood patterns. I was watching Brad up there, man. He was going through one hive. Yeah, the queen was laying, but then he says he wasn't too happy about it. And I'm like, yeah, she ain't all that great, but she was laying. He was queen right. And then the next hive over, he went through that hive, and then frame after frame, he had, a deep frame, almost, I'll say 90% laid up, capped up, or corner to corner type of pattern. And I'm like, see the difference between the two queens. One is right on, at the top of her game, and the other one's lagging. And that's what you have to recognize through, experience to, to figure out whether or not you need to replace that queen.
Yeah.
And I think that's what most average beekeepers backyard, hey, I got a queen, I'm good. Where we're like, yeah, we got a queen, but is she any good?
How old is she?
Well,
Yeah,
how
she's gotta
old
be
is she?
strong. Yeah.
It can be how old, but also what's the performance like?
And what did you use her for during the honey flow? What
Yeah.
kind of hive? Did you use her in a demeray, or was she a breeder? How'd you use her? That's the other thing you got to look at.
So, that's some of the things that I've learned here in the last 2 years, especially with queens. I've become very more observant in queens and understanding when I'm looking at a frame, I understand what I'm looking at and all.
Are you done raising queens for the year yet, Charlie?
Yeah, I got about 20 of them out there right now.
Okay.
I sold 2 of them yesterday.
Mated or virgins?
Virgins. I can raise 15 to 20 virgin queens a week once I get started.
Yep.
But I have not figured out how to go about getting them mated, getting that many mated a week.
Yeah.
You'd have to have
obviously.
100 mating boxes out there.
Yep.
Somewheres,
and a bajillion drones out there to do it.
I got the drones, but I got my mating boxes all in a row. Now I'm thinking about, well, maybe I need to take a pallet and put 8 or 10 of them in a circle. Put, ones here and there, and then you got to take up more room, more space.
Yeah. What's your overall takeaway of using a drone brood? I'm pretty pleased with it.
You mean the drone frames?
Yeah, I'm sorry, the drone frames.
I like the drone frames. You have less drone brood in between the boxes.
Yep.
I got minor mediums. I had one medium frame in there, and they drawed it out, and they packed it full of drones. Just one frame in there. You've seen I would say about a 50% reduction of drone brood in between the frames on the boxes.
And then once they're done with them, they just fill them full of honey.
Yeah.
And they're really big. Yep.
So now I got the 3 mediums. I got 2 true drone frames in there.
Okay. I'm trying to put them in every deep box, and I'm keeping them trying to keep them in that third position.
I was listening to Underwood up there at Penn State. Now she's thinking deep boxes all the time. She said one frame, and what she didn't specify is one deep frame of brood thing. And I got 2 mediums. My 2 mediums is kind of like one deep. And she said if you put 2 deep frames in, you're really taxing the hive's resources.
Oh, really? So I could drop back to just one deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But brood boxes are personal choice, Will. If you run a double, then you're going to have more room for her to lay. Or if you run a single, you're going to be either rotating frames out all the time. You're going to work it like a single brood box management.
Yeah, I'm trying to get one. I'm trying to get them in every brood box that I have. So
yeah,
and I'm close to that.
Yeah, DC, he was saying the same thing. We're using a single hive and getting the return bee to the queen returning. I know I watched. There's been a lot of people out there that I've looked at, and they all, if they're not using a 2 framer, they're using let's say a nuke box 5 framer, maybe a 4 framer, and they always had them on pallets, and they always have them in sort of like a circle.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, and then Brad up there in Canada does the same thing. And I'm wondering whether or not that really makes a big difference. And I think it does from what everybody wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't making a difference,
Yeah. It's like, I had my woodenware supplier build me an extra wide nuke, an extra wide 5 frame. It's about a frame and a half wider than your normal 5 frame nuke box.
So it's about either a 6 or a 7 frame.
It ends up being almost a complete 6 frame. But when you put the divider board in it, you can get a double 2 frame, and you can get a narrow frame feeder down in it beside them for a mating nuke.
Right.
And I use one entrance on the front, one entrance on the back, and I set them sideways. So, and I bought 30 of them. So I've got 60 mating nukes that way.
Yeah.
And they work really well.
So you're putting like a single frame feeder in, and then
a
one
narrow.
brood,
It's very narrow. It holds maybe a half to 3/4 of a gallon. Is all it holds.
So it's not the standard over the counter.
It's not the standard wide one. It's
Yeah,
it's a narrow one, like a nail makes. They make a narrow one,
Oh, okay.
and it's
Like a
about
plastic one? A narrow
it's
plastic
plastic.
one? Yeah.
Yep, it's plastic, and it take that and the two frames take up all the space in the nuke, in the mating nuke, but they work really, really well.
And I mean, the only other observation I did with my mating, the ones that I used here that were mated in these different hives here last week, was the fact that they were well populated in them mate boxes. So that means I really need to put a frame of cat brood in there with bees.
Yes.
So when they emerge, I've got myself a I got a bunch of bees that are going to stay there because that's home to them. They're dedicated, and that I'll say makes that queen come back here because it probably has stronger smells and stuff, pheromones and whatever.
Yeah, because her smell will be in there when she hatches. She'll pheromone it, and she will come back to it. She'll follow her pheromone back.
And then having it in a circle, that way she doesn't get confused.
Right.
And I'll have different color hives in different configurations to try to alleviate that problem.
Yeah. Like on mine, instead of painting a color, what I did is one side I put a yellow entrance closing wheel, and the other side I put a red one on it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
No. All right.
Well, it's after 10 o'clock. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight and listening to me and Charlie and Will ramble on. A lot of great input from everybody that was participating in the chat tonight. We appreciate it. I appreciate it. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button and definitely push that like button tonight. Push it hard when you push it. So everybody, y'all have a good day tomorrow. Don't forget Nancy and Tom tomorrow night at 7. Charlie Friday night at 8. And Joey's on Saturday nights, right? Saturday night beach chat with Joey.
Yeah, usually, yeah.
Yep. And then I'll be back next Monday. So y'all have a good week, a good day tomorrow, and a good week, and we will see you later. Thank you.